Welcome to the PI Podcast, Political Insights for the Palaging Inis. I'm your host, Matt Ordonez, and lately we're continuing this trend right now on the podcast, talking to creatives. Last time we had Siege Malvar, who is, a writer of short stories, novels, and plays. And this week we're going with his, let's say, batchmate right now in Virgin Lab Fest, but also a very prolific creator. He is I use the word to him, disgustingly productive and well awarded, actually, multi-award, Palanca award-winning writer, playwright, screenwriter, director, yeah, a lot of things. He is wearing so many hats, almost like a Hydra. So we're going to talk about some of his latest works that are coming out today, and hopefully you can watch it when it comes out very soon. Okay. First, yeah, let's welcome to the PI podcast Dustin Celestino. Welcome, Dustin.
Hello, good afternoon or good evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I'm
well.
Dustin, and yeah,
Mm,
thank you, Matt, for inviting me to your podcast.
okay. So, we know you're very busy, so let's start. First of all, with all your works right now, and there are many, how did your writing journey begin? So let's start with that. Go ahead.
I was a writer of fiction back in
Mm,
college, and actually it was a very humble start.
mm-hmm,
I read a lot of English fiction, and I
mm-mm,
had a friend who was a member of the Malate Literary Folio and
mm,
who told me that it was pretty cool there, so I wanted to be part of it. So
mm-hmm,
that's how my journey began. I wrote in English and Filipino
mm-hmm,
because my back in college I wasn't a very good well I wasn't a very good Filipino writer until I got to
mm-hmm,
college
mm-mm,
because we our first language growing up was in English.
mm-mm,
So my mom was an academic and she wanted us to speak in English.
mm-hmm,
So that's how we spoke at home.
mm-hmm,
And then when I got to like high school and college, I wasn't writing in Filipino well, which is why
mm-hmm,
in college, my minor was in translation.
mm-hmm,
So that's when it all started. I started practicing writing in Filipino, but
mm-hmm,
I kind of um, leaned towards fiction. So I started
mm-hmm,
writing English and Filipino fiction.
mm-hmm,
But mostly it was in English. Most of the stuff that I've written were in English. And
mm-hmm,
then I joined the national workshops. I went to
mm-hmm,
like Ateneo National Writers Workshop,
mm-hmm.
IAS, Dumaguete, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got my first taste of critiques.
Mhm.
So workshops, and it was a process I enjoyed because it was very humbling for one, and
Mhm.
also it taught me that real writing starts only after the fifth draft.
Oh,
So if
wow.
that's the first draft, that's a bad draft.
Oh my
Second,
gosh.
third, fourth,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
what one of the things that I learned is my first draft is just as good as any's,
Mm.
but I don't stop at one. By the time I
Mm.
get to my 15th, 16th draft,
Mm.
a
Mm-mm.
draft that most writers wouldn't attempt, it's refined to a degree
Mm.
that really elevates the material, whatever material you're writing about.
I mean, is that the five? Is that the hard number rule, or how did you discover like, this is okay? Like
Uh,
what?
no, you
Yeah.
write it as many times as you can
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because that's my idea. It's like sharpening a blade.
Mm.
You can't just use one grindstone. It has
Mm-mm.
some you have to get into the different whetstones and grindstones to
Mm-hmm.
get it as sharp as it can. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the same goes for any work.
Right.
Like for any play, for any short story, it
Mm-mm.
has to undergo a lot of work before it gets to a point
Right.
where I'm comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you're not just a writer, but you're actually known for very political movies and plays, which again are some of my favorites, But I know this is a political podcast, so people are
Oh
wondering
yeah.
why. Yeah, I don't pick any writers. There are writers that touch on political themes, like Siege
Mhm.
Malvar in the previous episode. But I want to know, like, first of all, how do you decide which topics to tackle? Or like, have you always been a political writer? And how did you approach these, frankly, very heavy topics? Go ahead.
Um, the interest probably started when I became a member of what's known as the Filipino Freethinkers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website of, and we write essays about current
Mm-hmm.
events. And of course, when we talk about current events, we're talking about um current beliefs regarding, well, sometimes it's gender, sometimes it's art, sometimes it's politics.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the interest began. I had to keep track of current events because I had to write essays
Mm-hmm.
about it. And over the period of a couple of years, I think I've written around 30 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And that also gave me a lot of practice with regard to the
Mm-hmm.
writing discipline, like just make it a habit.
Right.
So I write about anything that I hear about during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever catches my interest, popular culture, so cultural trends and all of that.
What were some of the more popular ones, or maybe your best work in Free Thinkers? Maybe some people can look back to that if they can,
Mm,
if you can still find it. Yeah.
I think my most famous article, one that got viral, was
Mm.
about the RH bill,
Mm.
the reproductive
Or
health
law.
bill. I wrote
Yeah.
as yeah, it's a law now, but back then it was a
Yes.
bill. And then I wrote a satire that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people misinterpreted
Okay.
about why the RH bill should not be passed. But again, it's very
Oh.
sarcastic, it's
Mm-hmm.
very ironic, and of
Mm.
course, a lot of people thought it was a real thing and
Mm-hmm.
started. Well, it was, like it was like rage bait because it
Yeah.
was it was satire, but not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people got it. So
Mm.
everyone wanted to express an opinion, so it went viral.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about when did you start getting into, from just text to like essays to film and then eventually plays? Like eventually there are the scripts that are, well,
Mm.
eventually acted out, or storytelling. Go ahead.
I went from writing fiction actually, and then one of the things that I was told was that my dialogue was bad
Mm,
because I was all
wow.
description. I was all my one of my idols was James Joyce, so it's stream of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness.
Okay.
You wanted to be cool in college, so that's how I wrote. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
then I had this period in my life where I didn't even write paragraphs. I was like,
Mm,
no paragraphs, just sentences, stream of
mm,
consciousness. And I was told that um my dialogue was stiff. It was bad. So it was
mm,
recommended to me to read plays.
mm-hmm,
And so I started reading plays and I started trying them out.
mm,
And I felt as if like it felt, I don't know, more natural to me
mm,
because it reached a point where I was doing better dialogue than I was doing description.
mm.
So
Okay.
I thought it felt better.
Mm,
And I don't know, it felt, I don't want to say more challenging, but
mm-hmm,
it felt more economical
mm,
to write a narrative with the performance already there.
mm-hmm,
Like when actors are acting and you're learning about the story um in the same time that they are, it
mm-hmm,
felt urgent. It felt there was something about it. And
mm-hmm.
the main difference probably was that fiction is lonely.
Mm,
You never get to see how people react, you
right.
know? Most of the time they don't write book reviews because no one reads
Mm-hmm,
those.
mm-hmm,
And you're not there when they read your story, so you never
mm,
really find out, the live experience of people seeing your work. That's why
mm-hmm,
I kind of shifted into theater.
mm-hmm,
And that's when I realized how much I like watching this thing that I wrote in my head,
mm-hmm,
hearing the lines that I wrote, and then
mm-hmm,
having the audience react. So it's a
mm-hmm.
very primal art.
Yes. did you have little influences with regards to like dialogue or like plays? Like, are there works that you like, or do you have
Oh
patterned your
yeah,
work after? Yeah,
Henrik Ibsen. Henrik Ibsen is one of
Ibsen.
my main
Mm-mm.
influences. Yeah, because he understands what it means to write, what drama means.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't have to be this explosive, shouty thing,
Mm-hmm.
but something that is important to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite plays is Enemy of the People, or an Enemy of
Yes,
the People. Yeah,
I
because
think it
it's
was
about,
read last year. I think
yeah,
the Filipino version. I think, yeah.
because it's about, principles
Mm.
and pride, and how they're often interrelated, because the doctor, of course, is the anti-hero. He could
Mm.
have asked for a more smooth process, or he could have compromised a little. He could have discussed it with his actual relatives, but instead he
Mm.
wanted to parade his
Mm-hmm.
virtue.
Mm.
So that's one of the things that I saw in that play that resonated with me, because of how virtue these days is commodified,
Mm.
and we also
How
have
about local? Yeah.
the
Sorry, I was
commodification
gonna.
of personhood, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna shift maybe to local influences, maybe to help
Mm-hmm.
you in your Tagalog, since you write a lot of Tagalog now, but do you have any
Mm.
mentors in Tagalog, yeah, or influences,
My influence in Tagalog was Tony Perez and Jun Cruz Reyes.
Ah.
Because they wrote in a way that I spoke. Kasi nga,
Mm-hmm.
my Tagalog wasn't as sophisticated, because I didn't read a lot of Filipino. So
Mm.
I wrote in Filipino like I spoke in Filipino, and I grew up in environments na
Mm-hmm.
kanto, lumaki kami sa kanto, sa mga
Mm-hmm.
kalye, ganyan. And then yung mga inuman, syempre yung
Mm-hmm.
mga, the friends that we get, they also
Mm-hmm.
speak a certain way, and that's the language that I adopted. And that's how I speak in Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it's kumbaga the language of the common man, yung
Mm-hmm.
Filipino ko, kasi I like how Tony Perez and June Cruz Reyes used common language and tackled really heavy, sophisticated themes.
Mm. A paradox, that simple language with heavy themes.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
mm-mm. So maybe before we get to like your featured works that are coming up, what are some of your maybe your early work that you think are most important, and like how did you come up with them? Maybe they were when you started film and then stage, or like stage first. How did
I
that
started
start? Yeah.
with fiction, of course, and
Yeah.
then what most people don't know is that I started film before theater,
Okay.
because I wrote this short story while I was in UP doing my
Mm.
MA.
Yeah.
It's called Media X Presents Savages.
Mm.
It's a satire of media culture,
Mm-hmm.
and how celebrities are exploited. And
Mm-hmm.
then that was back in 2009. It later became a film.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it was heavily edited.
Right.
And it became General Admission with Jasmine Curtis, directed by
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Hidalgo.
Mm.
First screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
And then um back in 2017, um I wanted, well, actually I came after a crisis that I didn't know what to do with myself.
Mm.
2016, I got into depression, I think, and then I quit my job. Didn't know
Mm.
what to do with myself, so I just started to ask myself what I always wanted to do, which was to
Mm-hmm.
write.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started writing randomly. There was a
Mm.
contest called the Palanca Awards, which
Mm-hmm.
I had, I think, 9 entries that year,
Mm-hmm.
because I made this resolution January 1 of 2017
Mm-hmm.
that I'd want to see how far I would could go if
Right.
I just start writing every day. So
Okay.
just 100 consecutive days
Mm.
writing, making sure even just 5 minutes I'm sitting in front of that laptop.
Yeah.
So by the end of that experiment, I
Mm.
had nine entries, two of which
Mm-hmm.
won.
Mm-hmm.
So I won the English and Filipino division of the full length play that year.
Mm-hmm.
for Ang Pangahas na si Pepe Rodriguez and the story of this
Mm.
father.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that batch also came what would later become Utopia.
Mm-hmm.
It came from a short story and it became a
Mm-hmm.
movie. And
Mm-hmm.
in that batch was also General Admission, which was
Uh-huh.
titled before na Ganid. Pero, like, and that made me realize how much potential or how much you can accomplish just by writing.
Right. I think
Yeah.
well, you mentioned Utopia, and I think it crossed my feed one time. But can you describe that and like what was that about? I think that was one of your first films, if I'm not mistaken, with
Yeah,
your
that was my
usual
first film.
cast. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
What's that about? And where can people
Uh, it
watch it? Yeah.
it right now I think they removed it from I Want, but it used to
Oh,
be in I
damn.
Want.
Okay.
Um, I think we can watch it nowhere at the moment, but we'll work on it.
Oh well. Okay. Please. But
Like Utopia is about it's a thought experiment.
mm-hmm.
Um, it's it I wrote it during the height of Tokhang.
Mm-hmm.
So it on one in one night there's like a comet flying
Mm,
through the sky,
mm-hmm.
and one of its effects is that good people don't die.
Mm,
So regardless of what crazy circumstance they would find themselves in,
mm.
if you're a good person, you don't die. And if you're a bad
Wow.
person, you die. So
Mm.
it's an oversimplification
Yeah.
of what justice is.
Right. I mean, in one way, that's true because good people don't die, they're remembered. But is that what your film says? At
No,
least that's
no,
my
no, no,
response. Yeah.
no. It's
Oh
like
no. Okay.
it was uh basically an answer to a question na if we had perfect justice,
Mm,
would it what does perfect justice look like?
mm-hmm,
The oversimplification is a critique of the usual
mm,
answer that good people live, bad people die.
mm,
So that's the opposite of what we were trying
mm-hmm.
to say, because
Right.
even if the bad people got killed, still
Mm-hmm,
feel a little bad for them because some of them are
mm-hmm,
just victims of circumstance, some of them are just driven into crime due to
mm-hmm,
poverty.
mm,
So it's something like that, but it's also a dark comedy. So
mm.
yeah, it's
In
weird.
what? Yeah. Oh, well, what I mean, heavy stuff. Hang on, before we get into that, I think it sounds like what happens in the story, maybe without spoilers, like it's a heavy topic, but what happens? Like who are the
It's
characters? Yeah.
there are three major characters. There's a videographer who
Mm-hmm.
was tasked to make propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And but during the trip or during the video session,
Mm,
he caught police officers torturing a prisoner.
mm,
So that's one of the characters. Another character is called Dalaga. Well,
mm,
that's how they mock him at the police precinct
mm,
for being a little feminine and for being a rookie
mm,
cop. So that's a
mm.
rookie cop. Then the third character is an undercover police officer called Playboy.
Oh,
Yeah. So
who
there's
played
Mike,
them?
Dalaga, and
Yeah.
Playboy.
Yeah.
Mike was played by Enzo Pineda.
Mm,
Dalaga was played by Aaron Villaflor, and Playboy
mm-hmm.
was played by Joem Bascon.
That's a great cast. Gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now I wish
I
I
had
watched it.
21
Yeah.
act. I'll send you one. I'll send you
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep that a secret.
Sure. No, you won't. Okay. Wink, wink. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's I had 21 actors in that because
Mm-mm.
it was my first movie. I wanted to go big. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
cast all my friends. So that's what I
Okay.
did. There were 21 actors in that film.
Mm-mm. Okay. So if anyone finds Utopia, well, tell us how it goes. How do you like it?
Hmm.
But tell us where to find it. But
Yeah.
for now, I think what I noticed is that there are some connections with this other film, which I managed to watch in De La Salle 2 years ago, Duyan ng Magiting. And I think let's
Hmm.
quickly talk about which I feel, you correct me if I'm wrong, is a bit of like a sibling piece to Hydra, which is coming out in wide release soon. Yeah, next week, I
Hmm.
think. Yeah, in June 3. But before that, Duyan ng Magiting. I don't want to. It's actually one of my favorite films like ever. But what I
Thank
like
you.
about it is, and maybe you can. elaborate on your approach to politics. Because when someone makes a political film, the tendency is, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but they tend to have like writers and directors tend to pick a side, and
Mm-hmm.
then they instantly make hero and villains out of these sides and the opposite. But you even with your characters in both Duyan and Hydra, you tend to allow some sympathy or empathy to even like the people we are been trained to hate, like policemen,
Mm-hmm.
like politicians. Not completely, but we understand them. So, can you tell us about your approach with writing these characters, where people have been trained to love and hate specific kinds, but in a way,
Mm-hmm.
there's something to hate in the characters we love, and something to hate in the something to love in the characters we hate. That's what I noticed. So, first of all, yeah, talk about Duyan and how you approached, like, because these are expansive. Like Duyan is quite expansive, a lot of like big nets with
Yeah,
featuring
yeah.
a lot of characters. So yeah, tell us about that. Go ahead.
First things first, my goal is never to sympathize or empathize.
Mm-hmm.
It was to create hyperrealism.
Okay.
And if you're working towards
Mm-hmm.
realism, you have to portray human beings as human,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise they'd look like Disney villains.
Mm-hmm.
So these are based on, on people that I've met,
Mm-hmm.
people that I've spoken to. And
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the thing that I have
Mm-hmm.
that makes my material different, is that I
Mm-hmm.
speak to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people who critique my portrayal of the policeman.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would ask them, do you know any policemen? Have
Mm-hmm.
you spoken to any of them? And
Mm-hmm.
of course, like my proximity to people on both sides and my
Mm-hmm.
ability to my access to them
Mm-hmm.
allows certain insights that may seem alien to someone coming from an extremely right or an extremely left side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my plan was never to like convince people to feel bad or to
Mm-hmm.
pity characters. It's
Mm-hmm.
simply my attempt is simply to make good art. And good art for
Mm-hmm.
me, the base of it is mimesis, your ability to capture or to copy reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably also why they get those acting awards, because they act like real people.
Right.
So in both the cases, in Duyan and in Hydra, that's what those films have been recognized for the
Mm-hmm.
most, is the acting. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because that's what we're going for,
Yeah.
realism.
Okay.
And it's the realism that creates the humanism,
Mm-mm.
because if you want to create real characters, you have to make them three-dimensional.
Mm. Well, before we move on, can you tell us like what happens, like a synopsis of Duyan na Magiting? Because there are actually a lot of characters, and let
Yeah.
me start, but like saying like it starts with, I believe, a teacher crashing out in front of his class, getting a viral
Mhm.
video. And again, the reason why I like this so much is I felt like I was that teacher played by George.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
And but you're trained to like him since he's speaking all the right things, like how
mhm.
this is corrupt. But eventually, like he become, well, not without spoiling, like he's unable to fulfill those rants. So and then it focused on other characters. So how do you move on from that? Like what else happens there? Like go ahead.
this character Victor, people ask me that if he's the representative of the left or whatever, but for me, he's the representative of me.
Ah,
And I never,
okay.
I never said that I was for the left or for the right.
Mm.
I was a prof, and I felt
Uh-huh.
helpless. And of course, I'd also get these questions, and I'd
Mm.
also spout rhetoric
Mm-hmm.
that I did not live up to. You
Mm.
know, so that's one of the inspirations of that character. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, in the movie, it's the recommendations given by the professor
Mm.
is taken seriously by some
Mm-hmm.
students.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and at least that's the accusation made against him
Yeah.
by someone who worked in the higher
Mm-mm.
positions of the academe. That
Mm-hmm.
was the accusation made on him, and then later on, will meet a social worker who's trying to get um these
Mhm.
students out of prison where
Mhm.
they are being held by a police chief.
Mhm.
Basically, I created a situation, or I created a narrative that would cover multiple sectors of society
Mhm.
and in a single film. So the
Mm.
challenge, it was more of a creative challenge really than a, you know, than a goal to than a goal to say something specific. The creative
Okay.
challenge is to tell the story of a country in as few sequences as possible,
Mhm.
because of one of the things that I advocate for is elegance and economy. In my own
Mm.
writing classes, I'm a fan of
Uh-huh.
elegant storytelling.
Mm-mm.
So I was like, okay, in how I'm gonna try to write the story of a country in as
Mm.
little as few sequences as possible, and I ended up with 13.
30. Okay.
Yeah, that film had 13 sequences.
So almost like 14, like the Way of the Cross, I remember. But
Mm.
it's very, again, very expansive, but each vignette feels very full. Like you see another side to them. Like we're also trained to, of course, empathize with like activists and kids, but also like, yeah, there's something not quite there, and it almost
Mhm.
feels I don't want to spoil the rest now, but there's also the policeman who clearly we're conditioned to see him as the villain, but there are parts of him that are, we understand as well. So,
Mhm.
you do this so well with the other characters. But before we move on to Hydra, how was the response to Duyan na Magiting? And of course, yeah, and some both praise and criticism. That can you
Uh,
summarize that for the
yeah,
listeners? Yeah, yeah.
generally we had good reactions
Mm-hmm.
because we won the jury prize for that film, and my cast
Mm-hmm.
won an ensemble award
Mm-hmm.
for best ensemble acting, and
Mm-hmm.
then we were distributed by Cultural Center
Mm-hmm.
as part of their nationwide advocacy to promote Philippine cinema,
Mm-hmm.
Lakbay Cine, so that we're one
Mm-hmm.
of the films being exhibited by that parang cinema caravan that goes
Mm-hmm.
around the Philippines. We've been getting good responses, but
Mm-hmm.
of course there are always going to be people who don't like
Uh-huh.
how certain sides are portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's funny to me because I expected that not everyone would agree with it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
weird pala to be hated by both left and right. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
called being
like,
in the
okay.
center. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway,
So
yeah.
everyone hates you when you're,
Mm,
when you I'm not I don't even know if I could call myself a centrist.
mm,
It's just that, like that's how my film is interpreted. But
mm-hmm,
really it's meant to show multiple perspectives,
mm-hmm,
more than politics. It's meant to
mm,
show or to portray a philosophical concept. It's called
mm-mm,
perspectivism.
mm,
Friedrich Nietzsche,
mm,
he's the one who popularized the idea that
mm,
your judgment or your definition of what something
mm-hmm, yeah.
is a matter of your background.
Mm-mm.
So that's what I wanted to portray with regard to nationalism.
Okay, yeah. And that's well, again, one of my favorite films. Where can they watch Duyan ng Bagiting? Uh, is that,
Yeah, we're trying to get distributed, but we're not very successful at that because
okay. Mm-mm,
right now it's exhibited for free by Lakbay
mm-hmm,
Cine, but
mm-hmm,
at some point, maybe after, because we've been making films consecutively, but that we never really got found the time to
mm-mm.
distribute them
Sure.
properly. So
Yeah.
we're taking a break after Animal, and we're going to to put these films in places where they can be accessible. At the very
Okay.
least, for Ang Duyan ng Magiting, we'll probably put it up on Vimeo and
Mm-hmm.
pay-per-view or something like that, so
Wonderful.
that
Okay.
people who would like to watch it for a minimal amount would be able to.
Great. So we move on from doing the Magiting to, I'll just say Hydra. Habang nilalamon ng Hydra ang kasaysayan.
Hydra.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a long title. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Just say
eh,
it's just called Hydra.
Let's call it Hydra. Hail Hydra.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Hydra, it will be showing, in starting next week, June
Yeah,
3.
June
Yes.
3.
And it was part of last year's Cinemalaya Festival where it won several awards. Wait,
All acting awards.
you swept the acting awards. Yeah.
Except one,
Uh,
except one.
except one, which was
Best
trying to,
supporting, which was won by Rochelle Pangilinan.
okay. Well, that's fine. But first of all, compared to Duyan, it's a bit, in some ways, it's an opposite. Like when Duyan was expansive, this one is very intimate in that it focuses
Mm.
a core cast of characters starring Zandra Marudo and, of course, a common cast with Duyan. That's Dolly De Leon, the great internationally renowned
Mhm.
Dolly De Leon, and the one that won best. What's her name again? She's a stand breakout actress, like the one that played the
Maylene
lawyer.
Dizon.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God, she was so great at Eileen Dizon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and Jojit
Judge Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally
So
won Best Actor.
finally won Best Actor. Yeah. Oh, well deserved. He's
Mhm.
consistently great. But can you tell us like what Hydra is about and how this differed with Duyan? How else did it differ, Duyan? Go ahead.
Again, it's a common theme that you would find in many of my works is
Mm-hmm.
um an interrogation of truth.
Mm,
Like, what is the truth? The Hydra also
yeah.
represents our relationship with history
Mm,
because it has many faces depending on which angle you're looking at it from.
mm,
And also it's a metaphor for disinformation,
mm-hmm.
right? Like we're given multiple answers to the same question. So really, I mean, it was marketed as a film about disinformation, but really
Mm-hmm.
it's a film about the relative nature of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there are four main characters, but history functions differently for each of them.
Mm-hmm.
For Kiko, history is a lesson. You
Mm-hmm.
learn from it, and then you move on, you do
Mm-hmm.
something better.
Right.
For another character, let's say for Bea, it's history is trauma. It's
Mm-hmm.
trauma that puts you in the past where you cannot
Yeah.
move on, which you cannot move on from
Mm-hmm.
until you've resolved,
Mm.
you know, you found
Mm-hmm.
justice.
Right.
For the lawyer, history is a shadow that
Mm-hmm.
hovers over her future, and there's
Mm.
nothing that she can do to get out of it.
Right.
And then
Mm.
for our professor of mythology,
Mm.
history is a cycle.
Ah,
Everything that
okay.
has happened will happen again and again
Right.
and again.
And I think this is set in a specific moment in our history as a country.
Yes.
Namely, well, you clearly heavily implied that this is after like the election and
Yeah,
where
the
a
date was
certain
there,
female character,
2022, right? Yeah.
yes, a certain female candidate running for president, which is yeah, uh, clearly implied to be represent Lenny Robredo. And so as a
Mm-hmm.
result, a lot of people
It's a
who watch
major
the film,
coincidence. Yeah.
a coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It was,
yeah, I want you to maybe respond to this common criticism that I've been hearing around, in that it's a Kakampink film, or like it's meant to maybe pat the shoulders or pat the backs of like us, maybe those progressives who
it.
believed in a particular
Mhm.
movement, and maybe responding to like a certain president that in a way
Mhm.
you also humanized. But like, is it a Kakampink film, or like what are you trying to do with this politically, or what are you trying to say about this moment in our history? Go ahead.
Okay, I mean, it could be one of those things, but
Uh-huh.
it's not just that because there's a lot
Hmm.
of craft that went into it. For one,
Okay.
it's meta. It's
Okay.
a collection of essays, and it's also the book that David wrote.
Mm.
He wrote a
Mm.
book. It's called Habang
Right.
Nilalaman ng Hydra ang Kasaysayan about
Yeah.
disinformation,
Right.
and that's the way how it's the structure of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So that was we were doing something. We tried to do something clever like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's also it alludes to mythology.
Mm.
So it's also about history. It's also about truth. So it's
Mm-hmm.
about many things.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want to reduce it to Kakampink as a Kakampink film, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be offended. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, if people were to call it Kakampink, I wouldn't mind because
Okay.
I mean I don't see that as an insult. So what?
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't care. Like I
Mm,
have a lot of friends who were given comfort by the film.
okay.
From disappointment, they got a little bit of hope back. And
Mm-hmm.
just recently, one of our associate producers saw it again and
Mm,
said how she loves watching the movie because
mm.
despite everything that's going on right now,
Right.
she saw it recently, like last May. Well, a
Okay.
few weeks ago. She
Mm,
said that regardless of whatever is going on right now, when she sees the film, gives her
mm,
a little bit of hope.
mm,
So if that was if that's the outcome of the film, I think we did our job well.
mm-hmm.
Even if it only, sparks a little bit of hope to a few
Mm-hmm.
people, these are people that we care about. So if people were
Right.
to call it kakampik propaganda, I don't mind,
Mm,
But it's
mm,
more, before that or beyond that, it's in my opinion, finely crafted film. We hired the best that we could find.
mm-hmm.
It was rewritten relentlessly,
Mm-hmm.
it chopped. We did everything we could
Uh-huh.
with the little resources we had to
Right.
make a technically proficient film.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And I think we accomplished that with that particular
Yeah.
film.
And by the way, maybe just to highlight, one of the things that still stuck with me are there are actually some animated portions on Greek mythology. Whenever the movie talks
Mm.
about Greek mythology, there's these little shadows and cartoons, about Hydra, about different Greek mythological features. First of all, can I ask, like, why Greek mythology? And I mean, it's like, as a character, can we? I just noticed that it's a fun thing. We went to school, so we like Greek mythology, but like, can we find a Filipino professor of Greek mythology around here? So why have Zandra Marudo play a Greek mythology professor, and why use these symbols for your, for Hydra, for
Mm.
our history? And
I
then,
mean,
yes, go ahead.
it's a quite a common thing to be a Greek mythology professor. I think
Mm,
even I taught Greek mythology as a literature
mm,
one professor, and
okay,
it's taught in philosophy classes. So
okay.
it's one of the more common ones, and
Mm,
also you said it yourself. It was something that you studied back in high school,
uh-huh.
so you're familiar with these
Right.
characters. Whereas if
Mm,
I were to put in the Filipino gods and
mm-hmm.
goddesses, I don't think anyone would be familiar with them. So
Mm,
that's not a knock on our gods and goddesses. It's just that they don't they're not as familiar. I mean, they're not as accessible
mm-hmm.
but I mean, they're not as well known
Mm.
than the Greek characters. Also, if we wanted this to have some potential to be appreciated by an
Ah,
international audience,
okay.
it
Mm,
would be better if, the references were references they were familiar with.
mm-hmm. Mm. And so who was responsible for the animations of these scenes?
Oh,
Yeah.
the VFX, that was Hans Shui and
Mm.
Jericho Lyson. So
Mm-hmm.
we did was we hired dancers,
Oh,
the
wow.
best dancers in the country. I was quite surprised because I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to um Richard Zonyadao, one of the
Mm-hmm.
best dancers of in the country, and I was like, Richard, I need some people to do
Mm.
some movements for some of our
Mm-hmm.
mythological flashbacks. And
Mm-hmm.
he's got say less, spam. I got you, I got you. And then I did
Okay.
not expect like the best dancers, some of the best dancers to show up, and I'm like, dude, we do not require this much choreography. They're just gonna do like that. They're just gonna sway their arms a bit when you get the best. But of course, we're
Mhm.
very happy that we got to work with them,
Mm.
and I think they did pretty well. Like, of
Mhm.
course, the obvious metaphor there is, the masa,
Mhm.
but yeah, like that's one of the
Mm.
central ideas we had.
Mhm. Okay. And these are actually nice breaks because it's a very talky film and it's some of the best
Mhm.
dialogue I've heard, but even dialogue can get tiring. So
Mhm.
here's some
Yeah.
Interesting anime, well
It's
choreographed
like
animation.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like books with pictures, right?
There you
You
go.
know, like when you read a
Yeah.
novel,
Yeah. I mean,
you'd want
a lot
some
of people
pictures
talk about their
sometimes.
dialogue, but I remember now, like some pretty good visuals. So yeah. Maybe before we move on from Hydra, maybe you can speak about how we talk about quote unquote villains of history. Like you even talk about like the a figure from martial law, the
Mm,
Verdugo, and even like the lawyer, So I don't know. Maybe let me frame it this way. It's not just about Kakampinks, but maybe not what do you want non-Kakampinks to get from your film, or yeah, and how they want them to see themselves in it. Like
mm,
can non-Kakampinks see themselves in this? Because again, yeah, most of the audience that I was with, like familiar, because we were all more or less progressive
mm.
Kakampinks, but okay, so what can you say about that for non-kakampings, or like how you talk about the villains of quote unquote villains of our history? Go ahead.
I think it's important that we don't use polarizing language for one,
Sure.
because you can't really convince someone
Mm,
to stop loving a person or stop adoring a
mm.
person just because you said so. You know,
Ah,
like
okay.
calling people names, that doesn't really work for us.
Okay.
It works within our echo chambers, to
Mm-hmm.
virtue signal and to find who's
Right.
allied with us, but it
Mm-hmm.
does nothing for trying to change other people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something we want to do, we have um to portray even the people we don't agree
Mm-hmm.
with a certain level of dimensionality. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can't portray them as Disney villains,
Mm-hmm.
because those who support them would see you as a liar.
Mm.
So you have to see them as people
Mm-hmm.
for first, and when they are recognized as people,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we open up the idea that people have faults,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe your leader also has flaws,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe these flaws are some things that you should start to notice once you
Mm-hmm.
recognize their humanity. So
Mm.
that's the hope, that we stop we portray characters with honesty, that
Mm-mm.
like the people that we find that we see on TV as corrupt
Mm-mm. Right.
could be good friends, good
Mm.
fathers
Right.
to their families.
Mm.
And that's a
Mm.
truth that we have to acknowledge,
Yes.
and which is also a truth. We can I'd like the idea of truth to become more pluralistic, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
contradictions can exist. You can
Uh-huh.
be both a good person, according to, well, a good father, and a
Right.
corrupt politician.
Mm.
So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not when you're a good person 100%. No.
Yeah.
You can be a good son and a bad father. You can be a good father and a bad son. So,
Yes. Mm.
like you can be a good friend
Mhm.
and a fucking terrible corrupt politician.
Mm.
And when we start to accept that these contradictions can exist in people,
Mhm.
maybe that's when people begin to realize that these contradictions also exist in the people that represent them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Speaking of contradictions, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I just right now, I believe you had a cameo, like correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Andoy, Direk Andoy in your
Mm.
film? Yeah, you had him. Well, you had a very likable actor, play like one of, let's say, without spoiling, someone who is not who is supposed to quote unquote represent someone who is not likable. So that's kind
Mm.
of an effective scene there. Like even in that, like his character acted very amiable, but in reality the other characters see him as the villain. So that's
Mm.
that's actually one of my favorite scenes with that. So just you know, uh well, we all know he got popular now because of About Us, Not About Us, and his episode
Mm.
in Walang Kwentang podcast. So um yeah, watch out for Sir Andoy in Direct
Yeah,
Andoy
yeah.
in
Amazing
that film.
actor. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think he should get more roles.
Yes.
Yeah, like, because he plays the gray area really well. Because
Mm.
like you mentioned, like to play a charming politician. But you know what? That's closer to reality.
Mm.
If because some of our consultants work in government and they
Mm-hmm.
keep telling me it's really most of them are like that. Most of them are
Mm.
charming because you don't win an election by being an asshole.
Mm.
And like if you need the support of people, you have to convince them that you're worthy of their support. And
Mm-hmm.
how do you do that? You become charming, you become
Mm-hmm.
amiable, and that's how they behave in real life.
Mm-hmm.
What we see on TV is the highlight reel, the
Mm.
unmasked characters.
Right.
But when you see these people in real life,
Mm-mm.
they can become them really, really charming.
Mm-mm. Okay. So that's Hydra. Which is out in theaters next week. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Catch them wherever you can. And again, I watched it last year at the preview just before Cinemalaya, which, yeah, I certainly enjoyed it. But let's move on from Hydra to your, your next entry for the upcoming Cinemalaya, which is Animal. So what can you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
about Animal? Which, yeah,
Animal is, it's we just pick lock right now. We're in the
right
studio.
now. It's fresh.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fresh off it's very fresh. And I think we made a very weird,
Mm,
exciting film
yes.
because it's about two political dynasties
Mm-hmm.
who get into trouble because one of them inappropriately touches,
Oh,
inappropriately engages with an animal.
oh my. I'm
That's
reminded
the
of Black
opening
Mirror.
scene. Yeah, yeah,
Kind of like that.
exactly.
Yeah. National
So,
anthem. Yeah.
that's the opening of our film.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor's daughter wants to meet the governor to
Mm.
have her to ask him if he would like to co-sponsor the
Mm.
medical mission for animals for neutering and
Mm-hmm.
spaying of pets. But
Uh-huh.
when she gets there, she finds the governor in a very compromising position with his pet.
Oh. Oh.
And
Uh-huh.
then she takes a video,
Mm.
shows it to her father, the mayor,
Mm.
and then that's where it starts.
Okay.
So that's the premise of
how
the
did you
film.
how did you come up with this one? Like, okay, clearly two political dynasties. We can see the connections to reality there, but like,
Mhm.
why involve animals? And like, were any animals harmed in the making of this film? Yeah?
No
Go ahead. Yeah.
animals were harmed in the making of.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
our actual dog.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It's Beanie. That's
okay.
her dog.
Oh, that's
She
cute.
was
Yeah.
having fun. Yeah. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, how did I come up with this? Well, it initially started as an advocacy film to educate
Mm.
people more about why they should not purchase pets
Mm.
and why they should not abandon them.
Mm.
And talk about like how mammals experience pain.
Mm.
It's a bunch of scientific stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and why some people like engage in zoophilia. So all
Mm.
of this information is in there.
Uh-huh.
And initially it was meant to be an advocacy film,
Mm-hmm.
but then things happened that inspired me to take it in a darker direction,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted it now to be about the economy of complicity.
Mm-hmm.
Like why do people who do bad things remain in powerful positions? So
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially the question that we're trying to answer with the film.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, we don't want to talk too much about it because it still hasn't been out yet. But
Yeah, it
first of
hasn't been
all,
out.
yeah. Who's in it and where can they watch it? Yeah, like in Himalaya. Yeah.
The film stars Francis Macil Ignacio and her
Okay.
daughter Maxine Ignacio.
Mm-hmm.
It also has Georgette Lorenzo, Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Falcon,
Mm-hmm.
um, between Escalante and Raymond
Mm-hmm.
Domingo.
Mm. Uh, Maybe how did you choose these particular actors? Because Georgette is like your regular collaborator. He's been in almost all your movies, all of them,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Yeah, but what made you pick these actors? Which, again, some of them are recognizable, and others more theater. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
why these actors for these roles? Yeah.
Like I think my, I mean, if I had any skill as a filmmaker, it's casting is one of them. Like
Mm,
I know I have this feeling, like an instinct when I hear a person talk,
Mm.
I get a sense of which characters they'd be able to play.
Okay.
There are special cases like Jojit for one. He's a chameleon, so you
Mm.
can put him anywhere, and he functions like a metronome to me.
Uh-huh.
Like in music, in order to guide the rhythm,
Yes.
the tempo, you need a metronome. And
Mm.
the reason why I always cast Kuya Jojit is because for me, he regulates the
Mm.
acting of the people around him also.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that's one of the things I like about him. Like, because for one, he has a very good sense of what is too much and
Mm-hmm.
what is too little. So when I direct him and he's in a scene with other characters, there is a he is able to somehow regulate,
Mm.
how a scene proceeds with
Mm-hmm.
the pace. He'll hold
Mm-hmm.
the beat here and there. The same
Mm-hmm.
goes for Miss Francis Macal Ignacio, which is also why she's a common collaborator. She can play
Mm-hmm.
anything, anyone. And the others, it's an instinctive choice,
Mm-hmm.
like because I've had these people read for these roles in before. I think back in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
for fun. I would
Mm-hmm.
like, hey guys, you wanna read something? I just wanna I'm
Mm.
working on something, and I'd like to hear what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited them, and most of the people who were part of that reading are in the film, except for a few,
Mm.
I think.
Okay. All right. Um, what else can we say about this film, Animal? Ah, I think it's a why the title Animal, which is it's not animal, but the emphasis
Mhm.
on the mal. Yeah, anything about you can say about the title. Yeah.
It's a of course it's a play on words, like
Mm.
political animal. So,
Yes.
but also animal is a derogatory term, which is meant to say
Mm.
savage or
Mm-hmm.
uncultured or
Mm-mm.
basically hayop, you know.
Mm.
So tungkol to sa mga hayop. Yun, that's
Mm.
that's that's the film. Hayop in the literal animals, like it's about a dog, it's about
Uh-huh.
mammals, it's
Mm.
about, it's about rabbits, but
Mm.
also it's about monsters. Tungkol din siya sa
Mm.
mga hayop.
Yeah, love
Mm.
it. Actually, in fact, you underline the mal, right? Which I think in Latin means bad or evil. So like, that's another dimension.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
mal. Okay, or malinformation. Anyway, so that is Animal, which is coming up in the next upcoming Cinemalaya Film
Yeah.
Festival. Now for movies,
Since August
August.
onwards, yeah.
Okay, in August onwards. Okay.
First week.
First week of August, yeah. We're moving now to theater. The upcoming Virgin Love Fest 21, Hubot Hubad. So last week we talked about Siege Malvar's Presidential Suite number 2, which is revisited, but this time, but one of the new plays is, I believe it's called Elehiya in set, which
C.
set? Set C. Okay. So tell us about Elehiya again, without spoilers so much, but give like what can they be excited about? What's Elehiya about? Go ahead.
Elehiya is an elegy to the death of patriarchy.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because like um we all get this idea. We get it,
Mm.
right? Like masculinity, a lot of it is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But as men who grew up with certain behaviors considered as virtues,
Mm-hmm.
it's not really easy to let go of certain ideals of what masculinity should be.
Mm.
And when you realize that you have differing ideas of what it means to be a man with, for example, your father,
Mm.
it could create a rift in your relationship.
Mm.
And some relationships, the rift is pretty big that they become estranged from each other.
Mm.
So that's what the play is about. It's
Mm.
about fathers and sons
Mm-hmm.
whose relationships have been damaged
Mm.
because of the changing definition of what it means to be a good man.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's an elegy to the death of the patriarchy.
what are the show dates? Does any of them fall on Father's Day? Because June is Father's Day month. It's like that'll be
I'm
fun.
not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Mm.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I tried to cast, like
Okay.
fathers and sons, but
Mm-mm.
at the moment it's Carlito Sigun Reyna and Rafa Sigun
Okay.
Reyna is gonna be in the play. Jan
Mm-hmm.
Yuzon is in it. John Sanchez and Dennis Marasigan are also playing
Mm-hmm.
father and son. So I'm pretty
Okay.
excited about it because I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been in rehearsal for a while. I should be. But
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow I'll be seeing them and seeing what
Mm-hmm.
they've done so far. Last
Okay.
time I saw it, it didn't have scoring, but I think they're doing a phenomenal job.
Mm. Uh, Again, what about the plot synopsis? Like, what is it Elehiya about? Like what happens in the play
Oh,
without spoilers? Yeah.
Elehiya is a series of 5 monologues,
Ah.
but the monologues were written in such a way that they sound like they're talking to each other, but they're not.
Okay.
So it's a creative experiment, which I do a
Mm.
lot.
Yeah.
Like some people say that my films are similar, but I think they're just similar because they're not following the standard structure of the three act.
Mm.
Because, for one, let's say, for example, Duyan and Hydra, they're very different.
Mm.
Um, Duyan is a daisy chain. Hydra, it functions like a rainbow narrative where
Can you
the
explain what each
character
of those are? Yeah. Sorry.
daisy
Yeah.
chain is where characters are, like parts of the film are connected by a character.
Okay.
It's like running it's like passing the baton.
Uh-huh.
Whereas what I used in Hydra, the story of the first segment ends in the eighth segment. The
Mm.
story of the second segment ends in the
Mm-hmm.
seventh. The
Mm.
third ends in the sixth. The fourth ends in the fifth.
So none of them are straightforward stories. They're
No, no,
very
no. The
disjointed.
the
Yeah.
arcs are, you know, they all have arcs, but they
Uh-huh.
exist in different areas of the same
Mm.
film. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
say, what I mean when I say that it's sobrang pinag-isipan
Mm.
technically yung pelikula na yun, which is, although it could be true that it's Kakampink, it's not just that. It's a
Okay.
well-crafted thing. You
Mm.
know?
Even if you say
And
so yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, it sounds like bragging, but
Yeah.
it's true. It's
Yeah.
technically proficient, at least.
Okay. Mm. Okay. Mm. Well, well, maybe we can give this a chance to how does your film fit with the rest of the people in your set? Can you talk about your set just to bring them along? Like in
Oh,
set
oh yeah,
C.
yeah.
Yeah.
Set C, it also has uh, it's a fun set because it
Yeah.
it has actors from Munting Liwanag in the other
Mm.
place. Jory
Oh.
Belagoto will be part of Betamax, directed
Mm-hmm.
by Sheen Lihiner, good friend of
Mm-hmm.
mine. She's
Uh-huh.
also in Animal, so
Mm-hmm.
she's one of the
Yeah.
actors there.
Mm-mm.
And she's Electric will star
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Cabiladas
Mm-hmm.
alongside Liza De Castro to be
Mm.
directed by JP Habak.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Of
in for
one
a
of yeah.
treat tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Or whoever's watching set C. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Joshua Campbell is also in my play. He's great actually whenever
Oh,
he is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Love that guy.
Um. Mm-mm.
Also in
Uh.
Animal,
And he's
he
also
does
an
a
animal.
cameo. Just a
Oh,
small
cameo.
cameo. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, I think that's your recent projects lately. Maybe we can wrap this up by saying maybe number one, a message. First, let's start with the message politically. Like when you're, what maybe for all your projects, they're all political, but not in the sense that you clearly pick a side. I mean, yeah, you have a side. It's just that when you write them, you even portray quote unquote enemies, like let's say multidimensionally and
Mhm.
charitably, if at all. Yeah. But yeah,
I'm
what
hardest
you
on my own position.
ah,
Because
there it is. Yeah.
that's the thing. Like art for me is an
Yeah.
examination of the self.
Mm-mm.
You challenge your own beliefs, you
Okay.
challenge your own ideals. Because
Mm-mm.
if all you're doing is like shouting on a megaphone,
Mm.
then where's the art there?
Right.
It has to be
Mm,
something that you grapple with
right.
personally.
Mm-mm.
Because that's the
But
purpose. That's I mean, I don't know what else it is.
sure.
I mean, what else is it for if not that?
Mm-mm. Yeah. But what can you say, like, what do you want citizens to take away from your films? I mean, there's hope, but there's also compassion.
Mm.
But what do you want your audience to get so they can become maybe better citizens? Go ahead.
I don't want them to come away with the same answers.
Ah, fair.
I want them to grapple with it as much as I did.
Okay.
I don't want to give them any easy answers.
Mm.
I don't want two audience members to come out of the cinema
Uh-huh.
with a consolidated opinion,
Okay.
because that is the very nature of truth. It's
Okay.
personal and it's
Mm-hmm.
subjective. Our
Mm.
experience of life and our experience of anything that happens to us is
Mm-hmm.
entirely subjective.
Mm.
And the goal of any artwork
Mm-mm.
is to be a platform where two people can discuss how they differ and what's similar,
Mm-mm.
basically to
Mm.
connect.
Mm.
So if they're going to come out with a consolidated opinion, what are they going to be talking about?
Mm.
What are they going to discuss? So no, I don't want them to understand it the same way. I
Mm-hmm.
want them to grapple with the
Mm.
material. I
Right.
want them to come out with their own conclusions. If their conclusion is
Mm-mm.
the film is bad, then
Mm.
so be it.
Ah. It's a very mature and really exciting way to look at it because, yeah, people can discover things you never really intended, or,
Mm,
maybe what we don't need from art is answers, but more questions, or maybe
mm,
better questions. So
yeah.
I love that. Maybe the one last thing, maybe tips on writing, because some people here might be aspiring writers. So, and
Mm.
you have produced like a lot of work, a lot of award-winning work, and remind me, like, how many palankas have you had in the sense that
Ah,
you put
I
nine
have
entries in
had
the first year? Yeah,
since that
yeah,
I've won 9.
nine. So you submitted
Yeah.
nine, and you won nine awards since. Malapit na mag Hall of Famer. So
Yeah, I have four
yeah,
first prize awards, and
mm-mm.
I need just one more first prize
One more. Yeah,
to be part of the Hall of Fame.
yeah,
So
exciting.
that's the
So
goal.
yeah, the goal in the Atlanta season is almost coming. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, for aspiring writers, what can you say to them? And maybe some tips, writer
Oh,
to
like
writer.
I compare writing to surfing, like if
Mm,
you wanna catch a wave, you have to be in
mm,
the water.
mm,
There are days that you're gonna sit in front of that laptop, in front of that blank sheet of paper and have nothing.
mm,
And there are days that you're going to be writing for hours
mm,
and even days sometimes
mm,
because you catch a good wave.
mm,
So I think it's important to make sitting in front of that computer, laptop, wherever you write, a
mhm.
habit, because you don't know when the wave comes.
Mm.
Because,
Wow.
sometimes
Mm,
it's a small wave, sometimes it's a big wave,
mm,
but you miss both if you're not sitting there in front of your laptop
mm,
waiting for the right one, the right
mm,
thought, the right idea, the
mm,
right inspiration. You just have to be sitting there and then something will
mm,
emerge.
mm. Great, great advice. I mean, again,
I
it's
mean,
not
it's
easy
very
advice.
simple. I
Yeah,
don't know, like,
yeah.
I don't know, to oversimplify it, turn on the computer and sit in front of it.
Send it in front of it.
Yeah,
Mm,
it doesn't matter if you're thinking of turn off your Wi-Fi,
mm.
put your alarm on 1 hour or 2 hours, and do not leave that chair
Uh,
until that time is up.
uh-uh. Although I
Do it
am
every
curious
day.
though. Yeah, yeah. What's your thoughts on AI as a writing tool?
AI
I'm
as a
sure.
writing tool, I think, provides, if you need instant feedback,
Mm. Ah.
it's faster than a human being. So yeah, yeah, like you can ask AI what are the basic flaws of this particular work, and it will give you
Mm-mm.
its thoughts. It you can
Mm-mm.
if I, like, not everyone has access to a relative or a community
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
would be willing to read your 100-page work.
Mm.
So how are you
Yeah.
supposed to get feedback if no one's gonna read
Uh-uh.
it?
Mm.
So that's one of the solutions that
Mm-mm.
that some people use.
Uh.
They upload their work and they ask, the AI,
Mm.
give it a score, give it a grade,
Mm. Yeah.
and then what would get it a higher grade.
Mm-mm.
And then basically they allow AI to teach them a consolidated
Mm.
version of a decent or an average play, an average story. But
Mm-mm.
at least it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
No one, I mean, not everyone has access to Ricky Lee, right? But if you do,
uh,
if you do, that's who you should be asking.
mm. But
But
if
if you
not, AI
don't,
is fine.
well, you use whatever you can find.
Yeah.
If you have
Thank.
a good
Yeah.
friend that you can trade pieces with, that
Mm.
also works. But
Mm-mm.
like that's a big ask when
I
you're asking
understand.
someone to read 100 pages of your first draft.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
large
yeah,
trust. You know,
medyo
test of
kapala ng
friendship.
mukha yun. Yeah, yeah, third
Yeah.
draft man lang, di ba? Third, fourth draft, pwede na yan. But
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
first draft, man.
Ooh. I know.
Ugh. Mhm.
That's a very progressive way to look at AI. You know, I do it too. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, ask for
Yeah.
feedback. They read fast.
There you go. Okay. So thank you for sharing, your experience as a filmmaker and a writer, and how what inspires you and maybe yeah, how it's okay to sit down and just look at a blank Word document, So
Mhm.
be patient, and that who knows, you might have maybe you can be a Palanca as well, listener. So yeah, thank you. Now, well, our last segment is recommendations where we recommend additional maybe movies or materials that were helpful, it's related to
Mhm.
today's topic. Personally, I want to recommend for someone to if you can find it, to watch Duyan Magiting, another film made by Dustin Celestino. We talked a little bit about it, but if you can watch it, yeah, it really talks about the huge spectrum of political characters, the police, social workers, activists, mothers. Oh, especially the mother character, one of your best
Mhm.
written characters,
Yeah,
based on
thank
your
you.
mother. Yeah. But yeah, it's and of course the teacher by Giorgio Lorenzo. Like again, I saw my it's based on you. In a way, it's based on me as a teacher, and I felt that,
Mhm.
but it's not. Sometimes ranting is not enough. So in reality, it's a reality check for a lot of people who consider themselves
Yeah.
political. So that's my recommendation for this episode. How about you, Dustin? Like what
This is
inspires
for
you? Yeah.
yeah, for every writer, number one is get screenwriting software.
Mm,
Because I think a lot of people underestimate the value of writing in the correct format.
mm-hmm,
Having been a panelist of several, writing
mm-mm,
festivals,
mm,
well, in school,
mm,
if something is in the wrong format, the panel won't even read it.
mm,
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your story is or how great a writer you are.
mm,
If your format is wrong, it's not gonna be read.
mm,
And second, I have recommendations. Krzysztof Kieslowski, Decalogue,
mm, mm,
one of the best anthologies ever.
mm.
It's 10 movies based on the 10 Commandments by this Polish guy.
Ah,
It's amazing.
mhm,
It can be found in the Criterion Collection
mhm,
and also Ingmar Bergman. A
mhm,
lot of his movies are in movie.
mm.
And oh yeah, Krzysztof Kieslowski also made three colors, red, white,
Ah,
blue.
okay.
They're currently in movie, and I think if there was a single influence that I could point to, it's probably that guy, Krzysztof
Mm,
Kieslowski, in how to
mm,
direct, because he also goes after hyperrealism. So
mhm,
the performances are always great.
mm,
And Ingmar Bergman for, concepts, philosophical concepts, and how to portray them in film. It's probably
uh-huh.
the best. So those two guys are some of my recommendations.
Okay. Right. So thank you for those recommendations. Thank you for the great hour and discussion. So, we're to cap off this episode, please invite the listeners to listen to well, to watch Hydra, Animal, and Elehiya. Where can they watch them? Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. Hydra is going to be it's going on a wide release starting
Mhm.
June 3. So please catch it at your local cinemas. We don't have the list of cinemas we're showing right now, but we've been told that it's nationwide.
Mm,
So even it's going to be available even in some provinces.
mm,
And then for the Virgin Lab Fest, um starting Virgin Lab Fest starts June 12th, next week. The Virgin Love is starting next week, and I
mhm,
have a play there at Set C, Elehiya.
mhm,
Please watch it. My set includes Betamax and directed by Xing Lihiner, and she's Electric, directed by JP Habak. So please watch these plays.
mhm.
And also Animal, it's coming in the first week of August. I think August 3, if I'm not mistaken. August 6 pala. Please watch out
Mm,
for Animal. So
mhm.
Hydra on June 3, um Elehiya June 5, and then Animal on August 6.
Yeah, that's what you get for being so productive. So many dates to remember, so many
Yeah.
projects. But yeah, but thank you very much for sharing that. We will set in the show notes, we'll put all the links where you can get your tickets, whenever you can find them. So yeah, thank you very much, Dustin Celestino. Hopefully we'll be back whenever you have a new set of plays or movies, I mean, once you're in the Hall of Fame, maybe we'll talk about that, the retrospective. See,
Hopefully.
hopefully. Okay. So the PI podcast can be found on Spotify and YouTube, or you may send us an email at pipodcastph@gmail.com. But until the next episode, magandang gabi mga ka-PI. And hang on. Pause.